Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. And today we are back with another Batman review and the sequel to Batman Begins. We reviewed this a couple of days back. No, yesterday, sorry. Was it yesterday? I can't remember. But with obviously the most anticipated film of the month coming out, The Batman with Robert Pattinson. I thought I'd review the trilogy and obviously compare Robert's introduction and Kristen Bale's introduction to the series. I'm not obviously going to review Affleck's because he wasn't really introduced normal as Bale and Patterson will be. So yeah, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Spoilers ahead if you have not checked out the trilogy, and of course enjoy the video. So I want to throw this out there straight away. People claim this is one of the greatest superhero adaptation films of all time. That is not correct. People say it's a masterpiece. That is not correct. I love Batman. I love the villains. I love Bale. You know, and I want to say this as well. Full credit to what Heath Ledger did for the Joker. He's not the greatest villain who's ever acted in a superhero role. I can't I don't know who is better, but he's not the best. When I think of superheroes and supervillains, Joker and Heath Ledger don't even come in my top 5 or 10. I don't go boom. Loki, Tom Hiddleston is so much better. I know it's it goes into the acting, but Hiddleston better. No one talks about Ra's al Ghul's Liam Neeson's version of Ra's al Ghul. He's phenomenal. No one talks about Tom Hardy's Bane. He reinterpreted and create a new version of Bane in comparison to the comic books and games. He built that role to be something amazing. He's more iconic than the Joker to me. And don't get me wrong, Heath Ledger did a phenomenal job. The laugh, the facial expressions. Cool. Kristen Bale did a better job in this film than him. He was in, what, about 12 scenes, the Joker, as a collective? They were great scenes, but for people to say this is one of the greatest comic book movies of all time, they'd be sadly incorrect. There's multiple Marvel movies I'd put above it, you know? Um, like, it's a fantastic Batman film. The introduction of Two-Face. I love Harvey Dent's role in this. His morality, how he was trying to bring a good side of Gotham, and Batman was meant to be the demon, the guy who could do good but has to take the fall for things. I love the comparisons between them and how they made Harvey Dent become Two-Face. Um, Jim Gordon, his role in this duology so far has been fantastic, from becoming Lieutenant Gordon at the end of the first film to now being Commissioner. Scarecrow's introduction at the start. That's what I love about the Batman films. They have, your smaller villains, your Two-Face, your Scarecrow, and then you have your bigger threat, your Joker, your Ra's al Ghul, your Bane. Rachel Dawes is an atrocious character. Maggie Gyllenhaal did a great job at trying to bring this character to life. But the first film, she was shit. Second film, she's shit. It was just a brilliant film to watch. I'm more of a hands-on guy. The Joker was just barely really doing anything within the film, but it's because the Joker isn't the hands-on guy. And if you played the games and the comic books, and if you've seen him in obviously the past films, he's not a hands-on guy. And I think Heath Ledger brought him to life in a very different way. He brought the psychological craziness, freak out in the Joker. People compare him to Joaquin Phoenix in the new one. We only really got to see 30 minutes of Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. Heath Ledger will never be top of my list as the Joker. I think of the video games. I think it was Mark Hamill as Joker. I think it was Cameron from the Gotham series. I think they delivered so much better than Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger will always be iconic for what he did. In my opinion, he only got the Oscar because he sadly passed away. And I think if Heath Ledger never died, I don't think people would be calling this film a masterpiece. I don't think people would be calling his role iconic. If someone else iconic in the superhero genre had sadly passed away, in an unfortunate circumstance, we'd be saying them films. And I think that's the same argument for Black Panther with Chadwick Boseman. People are saying don't replace him. He's irreplaceable. He's not irreplaceable. I'm sorry, he's not. It's the same thing. Chadwick Boseman was a phenomenal character, an actor for T'Challa. But if someone else had been casted as T'Challa, you would know no different. Same argument with Tom Cruise. If Tom Cruise had taken the role that RDJ is now worldwide known for, we would have known no different. With Cruise possibly coming to Multiverse of Madness, people are not willing to give him a chance because they're stuck in their ways of that. Because Jared Leto came along and because you can't accept him as a Joker, with Joaquin Phoenix coming along, you can't accept him as being better than Heath Ledger. With Tom Holland coming along, you can't accept him being better than Maguire. People are stuck in their ways. And it's the same argument. Bale is not the best Batman. He's a phenomenal Batman, but Ben Affleck did a better job, and he didn't even have a full film. You watch the Justice League film, the Zack Snyder 4-hour cut. He is absolutely fantastic in that film. I know none of this is to do with The Dark Knight, but I'm relating to things in this film. People call this a masterpiece. Dark Knight Rises is a masterpiece if you want to talk about films. The action sequences, the threat level, the relationship between Batman and Selina Kyle, Alfred's role in this, and his desire to support Bruce in any way possible, but it finally comes to an end. Fox's relationship, Gordon's relationship, the connectivity, and I will go more into it when I review that tomorrow. But Dark Knight, you know, that you see the early days of the relationship between him and Gordon. The relationship is bonding further and further. But this film was simply just about corruption, failure, deceit. And you see Harvey Dent fall to the dark side of the hero side. He lost Rachel. Gordon faked his death. Joker was a complete psychopath. And unfortunately, because Heath Ledger died before the film was complete, we didn't get to see the scene where he was in Arkham Asylum. Originally, before when he was obviously hung outside the building, that was his last ever scene he filmed as Joker. Because obviously, I'm a huge believer he would have featured in Dark Knight Rises, but for me, this film, as phenomenal it wasn't about the Joker. It was about the plot. It was driven through an amazing storyline of how Bale and Dent and Gordon and I think it's Groff, his name, how the commissioners worked, how the police force worked, how Gotham was ran, and you got to see it fall apart because of the Joker, and then the corruption through Scarecrow and Two-Face towards the end. I loved how Batman saved Gordon's son at the end. I thought it was perfect. A perfect ending, and I love how Gordon always believes he has to say thank you, and it builds up for a great third film because this is in a sense the retirement of Batman, and that's obviously you see going into the third film. It's for me definitely one of the greatest comic book movies of all time, because I'm a huge Batman fan. And I think people outside of this need to start accepting more people in roles, not just clinging on to the people we love. Hence why I am raving so much for Robert Pattinson. Ben Affleck, I believe, was screwed over. Bale was given so much love because of his relationship with Nolan. These films are good because of Nolan's direction. He knew how to cast, he knew how to shoot the films, because if you look at how the explosions worked in this film in the hospital, they were phenomenal. The makeup artist, the high scene at the start when all the Jokers take each other out, just that everything. He knew how to write the Joker. He knew how to capture the Joker. His relationship with the writers and the cinematography and the choreographic side of things. The score is always amazing in Batman. I love the last scene where Gordon's giving this little monologue. He's the blah blah blah. He's the blah blah blah. He's the Dark Knight. It was beautifully done, and I will stand by this forever. Batman Begins is a better film because Batman didn't feature till about an hour plus into the film. Liam Neeson's relationship with Kristen Bale's character Batman was phenomenal. there wasn't over the top violence. There was enough in there between the League of Shadows relationship, and obviously that's why I love it so much, because number two, in an essence, not a filler, but number one connects to the third one so much. Hence why I love number one so much. And I will say, Dark Knight, it is a perfect 10 out of 10. You may be confused because of what I've said, but I love the cast. I just don't like the fact that people overhype films. You know, I'll sit here and I'll say Schindler's List is a 10 out of 10 perfect film. The Green Mile is a perfect 10 out of 10 film. Titanic, perfect 10 out of 10. They aren't overhyped. Shawshank Redemption, perfect 10 out of 10. No, all the Batman films are perfect. They're not masterpieces. Um, they are some of the greatest comic book movies ever. There's only one comic book movie I'd say is a masterpiece, and that is the Justice League Snyder Cut, because it was given the length, the cast, the time, the story, the structure, the development. Zack Snyder, full credit. I love this film. I love Christopher Nolan for what he did for the trilogy, and you know, it was just brilliant. I love the tech side of things. You know, when he improves his suit, Fox's relationship, Michael Caine's Alfred. It's just all incredible. When I'm in these films, I'm so obsessed with seeing other characters, what villains are set to come. We got no clues in this film as to what the next villain would be. Because they set the second film up in the first film with saying this is the Joker, and I was just over the moon that they pulled it off so well. So yes, a perfect 10 out of 10. I do highly recommend you go check it out, but I just hate that I've stayed away from this film so long because, and I've seen it multiple times. I want to put that out there, but people have overhyped this film so much. It is not the best in the trilogy. It is not the best comic book movie ever. It is one of the greatest comic book movies ever, but it's not the best. And there are better actors and better characters and heroes and villains than Heath Ledger and Bale. That's a fact. People need to stop living on these characters who I believe people hold on to Heath Ledger's character because of his death. It is a brilliant actor. I'm not saying never going to take anything away from that, but that is the true reason. So yeah, thanks for watching as always. If you agree, leave a like. If you don't agree, leave a comment. I am open to all people's opinions. If you want to say Heath Ledger's Joker is one of the greatest comic book characters of all time, then I accept that. People have different opinions. That is my opinion. I just don't like when people overhype things. It just ruins the movie, the experience, and you're just creating false hype around a film. It's like saying Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. They are arguably two of the greatest comic movies of all time because they revolutionized something a company had never achieved. What the DC universe will never achieve because they're a mess. What the original X-Men films and Fantastic Four films attempted, but they never did. Kevin Feige's on a different level to everybody, and it'll never be matched. Yep, that's me. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Goodbye.